Good morning. It's 11 a.m. and time for our presentation of the 19 things they don't teach you in real estate school. I'm Christine Williams, a certified coach with Boundless Coaching, powered by the Locker Room Business Development Group. So I will share our presentation today. We'll get right into it. So 19 things. So we're licensed. Maybe we've been in business for a couple of months. Maybe we've been in business for a couple of years, in my opinion, and speaking with agents that have been out there for a while, 2019 has been a wild, wild ride. So it's time to get refocused, or for those of you that are new, let's just get this party started. You've got your license, and that did not teach you the ins and outs of the real estate business. I think we'll all agree, correct? So this is not HGTV, and I joke with people all the time, and I have friends here in Jacksonville who have been on some of the HGTV shows, and it is scripted TV, folks. We see all those shows, the 30-minute segments where the agent takes the buyers out to see 3 homes, some in the price range, some not, and by the end of the show, they have found the one of the 3 that they like. The seller has accepted their initial contract, and boom, life is good and the agent gets paid in 30 days. Well, that's a fairy tale. That is not real estate. That is reality TV, which is unreality. So we all know it takes a lot longer than that. So our man, Tony Robbins, hopefully we all know him, and I got to see him last year in Orlando. He did one of his mega presentations, an all-day event where he's obviously the keynote speaker at the end of the day, and they were running, almost 2 hours behind, frankly, as the speakers got stacked up, and I only got to hear a snippet of him, but wow, what energy and what a presence that man has, right, to speak in an arena of, I think there were 8,000 of us. But the point is, one of the main things that he says is success leaves clues. So when I say that, what does that mean for you? Success leaves clues. What Tony says is go figure out with somebody who is successful at doing what you want to do and model it, improve it, but learn their steps first. They have the knowledge. So in other words, there's a method behind the madness. It's not running around, dropping off your business card everywhere, leaving little breadcrumbs, hoping that somebody's going to scoop them up like Hansel and Gretel, right? That's not real estate. Real estate is purposeful. So we're gonna go through over the next hour or so we'll go through 19 things that can help you create a sustainable real estate business systematically. And one other thing I'll point out that I'll probably bring up again is statistics show that 8 out of 10 new realtors aren't in business anymore within the first 2 years. And that's according to an NAR, National Association of Realtors statistic, that 80% of licensees get out of the real estate industry within the first 2 years. That's typical 20-80 rule. 20% are doing the business, 80% are just out there. And we know that holds true for most anything in life, right? So how can you be part of that 20%? So the first thing is your database. You've got to start with a database. You're going to hear it over and over. It is monotonous, it's tedious, but you have got to create your foundation of people. So your business is in direct proportion with the size of your database. It is your business plan. In fact, when you're in real estate, you actually have 2 businesses. And remember, you are the CEO of your business. What I tell people is the brokerage you're affiliated with, which is your choice, is the umbrella, the liability umbrella, simply where you hang your license. Remember, your brokerage gets paid every time you bring a commission check to them. So you are in charge of creating and maintaining your business. It is not up to the broker to get you leads, and we'll talk about that more later. So your 2 businesses are your lead generation business and your real estate business. So if you're new in the business, you probably only have 1 business right now, the lead generation business. You don't have contracts, you don't have listings, so you've got to create that business. So you need to find the people and the product. So looking over on the left-hand side, you've got 4 rules. Number 1, you need to have a database. So are you affiliated with the brokerage that provides a CRM for you, a customer relationship management system, And pardon me, I'll be drinking water throughout our presentation today. Number two, you've got to communicate with them systematically. You've got to feed it. You've got to watch it grow. So you need to have some kind of system to touch your people. And ideally, you'll want to touch your database 36 times a year or 3 times a month in different ways. So you need to know how to get in touch with them with their physical address, their email, and obviously their phone number. You don't want to send them 3 emails a month. You will get blocked. So you're going to have a system in place ahead of time on how you're going to reach out to them differently, because too, remember, people react to different forms of communication. You have to feed it daily. This is what you do every day when you get up. And we'll talk a little more in detail about that as we go along as well. You have to service your leads. Follow-up is the number one thing that agents fail at, and that's how they lose business. I'm sure we've all heard people on social media or out in public say, well, I was working with this agent, or gave an agent a listing. We put my house for sale, and I never heard from the agent again. They just put a sign in the yard. So you've got to service all of your business, your leads, and as well as your pending business. Be a service provider, not a salesman. I'm sure we all see those posts every day, and I hope I'm not speaking to any of you, where they're like, hey, I'm a realtor on social media. I'm looking for new business. Call me. And it's their contact information or maybe their yard sign, and it's what I call a static post. It's, hey, I'm here. Call me. Well, here in the Jacksonville, Florida market, we have literally over 10,000 realtors, people who have paid their dues to the association, which in your initial year equals about $1,000. And of course, subsequent years, it's about 500. We have 10,000 licensees here in Jacksonville. So I am sure that the people seeing your post saying, hey, I'm a realtor, have seen 10 others already that same day. So you've got to be a service provider, not a salesman. You don't want to sell yourself. We want to come from contribution, right? So your database, your business will be in direct proportion as to the size of your database. So how big is your current database? And let's go back to the initial question. Do you even have one? Let's start there. You're going to need to have one. So how many people do you know? And as a coach, this is one thing that I hear all the time as well. I don't know anybody, or I don't want to alienate my friends. I've already reached out to my 80 friends. They all know I'm in real estate. They'll call me if they have a need or they know somebody. Or I hear, well, I've just relocated, so I don't know anybody. Guys, those are excuse words. You can have excuses or you can have reasons. Excuses are the negative things that will get you out of the business in the first 2 years. Everybody knows at least 288 people on a first name basis. That's a statistic. So I have a memory jogger that can help you think about the people, whether in your area or other ones that can send you referrals that you don't realize that you know. So you've got to start with the people that you know and put them in your database. Every database I'm aware of has an option to opt out. So if they get tired of you contacting them, that's their business, because you're feeding in new people every day. So you should be receiving a 5% return on your database annually. So a quick example is, it is September 12th, 2019. It's a Thursday. So I ran some numbers quickly. Let's take a look at if you were to start on Monday, and there's 14 more work weeks between now and the last week of December. And if you do a 5-day work week and you contact 10 people a day, and a contact, by the way, guys, is not handing out your business card at the grocery store or handing it to your server or your favorite bartender, because they do know people. And I'm not saying don't do that, but there's a process in how to do that correctly, by the way. But a contact is a two-way interactive conversation about real estate. So giving out your business card doesn't count. If you give out your business card, receive their business card, go home and email them, so great to meet you today, I enjoyed our conversation today, put them in your database, and then follow up with a handwritten note, that, my friends, is your first contact of the day. That's a contact. So it's purposeful interaction. So back to our numbers. 14 work weeks, 5-day work weeks. I'm giving you the weekends off. And if you will contact 10 people a day, 10 of those conversations, like I just said, whether that's on social media, if it's by text and it's back and forth, or if it's in the grocery store line or at your favorite restaurant and it's back and forth, and you have their contact information and you talk about real estate and you ask, who do they know, or who do they go to for their real estate needs, or who can they refer to you? Then if you will do that, that equals 700 meaningful real estate conversations between now and December 31st. Let me let that sink in. If you will have 10 real estate conversations starting on Monday, 5 days a week, between now and December 31st, you will be in contact with 700 people, which if every 50 people that you contact should provide a lead for you, that will give you 14 new leads between now and the beginning of the year. Did you hear that? 10 conversations a day should provide, if you do it on the average of every 50 people you contact should provide you with one lead, okay, it's a 50-to-1 ratio, you should end up with 14 new pieces of business. Let that sink in. So the goal is to create a real estate referral business. Moving on. Number 2, I want you to lead with revenue. I do not want you spending money on Zillow leads or Realtor.com leads or that next best thing that they showed us on social media. So let's talk about that. So don't chase the shiny objects, top right-hand corner, coming right up. So those are everybody, I'm getting them too, of course, we all do. We get the emails, we get the private messages, we get the text messages these days, we get the Facebook, we get the Instagram. Everybody wants to sell us an automated system for social media posts. They want to sell us a zip code. They want to sell us algorithms for people ready to move, right? Don't do it. Don't do it. So there's a crazy myth out there that says, and we hear it all the time, well, in order to make money, I have to have money. That is not true. I can attest to you, and I have plenty of testimonials and referrals from agents that I've helped in the past. You can create a real estate business to fund your life and not just pay the bills, but to create a comfortable life without spending money on these things. That's like throwing money in the garbage. There is no shortcut, guys. Real estate's what we call a contact sport. It goes back to the basics. Those contacts, those daily contacts is all it takes. So the truth is it takes leads, and leads don't cost money. It's the activities. So I have some other stats over here. Let's talk about this. So your rate of return, let's say you are spending money on leads, you should be getting a 4-to-1 rate of return, okay? So that means and we'll put that up here. Hang on to that. So 4-to-1 rate of return. So real quickly, let's say that you are spending $300 a month on Zillow, on a Zillow zip code, and we're the 9-month in September, you've been doing it all year, that's $2,700 that you've spent on leads. Have you earned $10,800 in gross commissions specifically from those Zillow leads? That's the 4-to-1. So 2,700 times 4 is just shy of $11,000. Have you earned $11,000 in commissions from spending the money on those specific leads that you're spending $300 a month on? That's what you need to look at right now, September. It's time to trim the fat, folks. So number 3, lead generate 2 to 3 hours a day. Oh my gosh, does that mean you have to make phone calls 3 hours a day? Ugh, no, 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 it does not. Remember, I mentioned earlier, just a few seconds ago, that lead generation is just that interactive two-way conversation about real estate. It's 2019, folks. That doesn't mean we cold call everybody like I used to have to do out of the reverse phone directory. That means it can be text. It can be through social media. It can be in the grocery store line, the person behind you. Maybe you're wearing your name tag. It can be at your favorite restaurant and your bartender knows you by name. Guess who I'm working with? I'm working with the sister-in-law of one of my favorite bartenders who has become a friend through the years. He's worked at probably 4 or 5 different nice restaurants here in the Beaches area, and we are friends on Facebook. We are real life friends. His girlfriend is just a sweetheart. It's her sister that I'm working with. And so that is because of a 4-year real life relationship that is the first lead that I've gotten from him. You've got to cultivate the relationships. Real estate is a people business. So let's talk about the real estate roller coaster up here in the top left. That is, if you're already in the business, you will be shaking your head on this. And if you're not, I promise you it's going to happen to you. So all you're doing, your lead generation, especially if you're new, you're doing lead gen, lead gen, lead gen. Ooh, finally, you've got 3 closings going on. So you got phone calls, you got to call the appraiser, set up the home inspection, make sure that the buyers turn in their loan application, make sure the other one's gotten their binder to the title company. You have maintenance on these transactions because those are your money activities, right? Those contracts create income. So your focus is now on making sure that those don't unravel so you can get paid in the next 30 to 45 days. So what happens? That you forget to prospect, or you're like, I don't have time for that. I've got to handle this, this, and this. So you're going to be on the roller coaster because you're not doing that consistent daily lead gen. It has got to be a daily habit. Remember the 80-20 rule. So we talked about agents getting out of the business. That also applies to only 20% of the activities you do in real estate create 80% of the business. So focus on the activities that create leads and bring people to you. So let's go back to the 3 hours. I promise you, it's not 3 hours of cold calls. You do not have to call for sell by owners and expires 3 hours a day. If you enjoy doing that, and that's one of your 3 activities to create business, or the 2 of the 3, perfectly okay. I'm telling you, you don't have to do that. The 3 hours means there's 30 minutes of prep time. And I would love it, actually, if you did this the night before. You need to know who you're going to call tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Who are the 10 people you're going to reach out to? Where are they coming from? I have a memory jogger, as I've mentioned. You need to know who you're calling. You need to have their phone numbers, or at least be connected with them on social media. However it is you're going to communicate, you need at least 10. But here's the kicker. Not everybody's going to respond back. Not everybody's going to answer. So 10 means the 10 interactive, right? So maybe you're going to need, we said 50 equals a lead. Maybe you're going to need 30 to 40 to 50 people, contacts to reach out to tomorrow, because you need to close on 10. You need to have that conversation with 10. So think about that. It's not, I've called 10 people and wait for them to call back. Maybe you have to call 30 for 10 to respond. So you need a call list every day. I'm here to tell you 50 people. And once you get to the 10, if you want to stop there, that's your business. However, if you haven't finished up your 3 hours, why don't you keep going? Why is it going to hurt you to create more leads? So you're doing the 2 hours is the actual activity. That's your calls, your text messaging, you're reaching out on social media. Maybe it is an email on the fact that interest rates have just gone down again, and asking them who they know. It's not just sending out info, remember? You need to call to action in there and ask them, hey, interest rates just dropped again last night. Who do you know this in the market? Or I know you've been renting for 2 years. Are you ready now? So you need a call to action for them to respond back. Then the 30 minutes of follow-up, guys, that goes back to the database. You need to put them in your database if they're not already in there. And if they are, you need to put the note of the conversation that you had and schedule the next activity that you're going to have with them probably in a couple of weeks. So lead generation is creating your income. It's that simple. So the best way to do it is to build it daily. So the goal, by the way, is to get an appointment, right? So what is an accountability partner or a coach? Does anybody have any idea what a coach is? Anybody know what coaching versus training is? So what does the word accountability mean for you? It can mean different things, and for some it probably has a negative connotation. I have to check in with somebody, and I'm self-employed, and that's the reason I'm no longer with corporate, because I didn't want to have to do that. If you do not have an accountability partner, whether it's maybe you're on a team and it's somebody on the team, or maybe it's the rainmaker, or maybe you're in a mastermind group and you guys work together, or maybe it's a coach, you need somebody to help you stay on task. No one succeeds alone. I promise you, I have several accountability partners, one being a coach. So, and it helps me stay in check with, oh, yep, I fell down on that this week. Let me get back into that. And then back over on the left, you're the average of the top 5 people you associate with. We've seen this over and over, right? So what does that mean? That doesn't mean dump your friends. That means that you need to associate yourself with folks like Tony Robbins said in the first slide, people who have already done what you want to do, so that you can raise yourself to a different standard and create the life that you want. It doesn't mean discarding your friends, but maybe you're going to spend more time with the people who are on the same path that you are. It's just that simple. And the two evils in life, the reasons people fail, are boredom and isolation. We all have days when we're bored, right? We all have days we're not on task, myself included. So you'll get over that. The isolation is the scary part in real estate. Don't be that silent agent who goes off the grid. You stop engaging in the trainings in your office. Maybe you're part of a mastermind group and you stop going. If your office has sales meetings, you stop. You have got to be involved. And we won't get into all this, but one thing I don't want you to do is invest all of your time in going to all the broker open lunches and all the socials. I mean, there's probably one every day, everywhere. There's a title company celebrating this. There's a broker with a brand new $1 million listing with an amazing catered lunch. Pick your activities wisely. If you are spending all of your free time at realtor events, you are taking away time from lead generation. You are now socializing with your competitors, not your mentors, and not the people giving you business. So think about that. Number 5, moving right along. Define your standards and systems. Oh boy, this is where a lot of agents fail. So, oh, look what just popped up. You teach people how to treat you. It happens to a lot of agents, particularly if you're new. You get that phone call or that text at 5 o'clock in the morning, hey, I saw a house on Zillow last night. Can we see it today? And you respond back because you were up to use the restroom or your baby was crying. Don't do it. If you respond back at 5:30, you have just let that person know that you are available during the middle of the night to answer their phone calls and their texts. Why would you do that? So you teach people how to treat you. You have got to set your standards and expectations. So one way I do that is I put on my email signature my availability. If it's after 7 p.m. on a work day, I will respond the following business day between 9 and 7. If it's Sunday, I will respond to you the following business day. Sundays are my day off, and I don't apologize for that, and you shouldn't either. So on your outgoing voicemail, let them know what you're doing, and ideally what you want to do in this business is to change your voicemail daily. Today is Thursday, September 12th. I'm in meetings I'm on appointments until 4 o'clock today. I will return all phone calls and emails between 4 and 6 p.m. Set the expectations so they know when they can hear back from you. So don't be a victim to your own success. So don't play victim, period. You are running a business. It is time for you to take control, right? So, and then real quick, we talked about if a person moves every 7 years, which these days after the recession, it's 10. So you need to have a system to stay in touch with past customers or your friends, right? And that goes back to the database. So you need systems. How are you doing that? So moving right along, number 6. Create your MVVVP. Does anybody have any idea what that is? It is your mission, your vision, your values, your beliefs, and your perspective. So have you created this? Has anybody ever spoken with you about this? So why is this important? Well, if you don't know who you are, and if you don't know the type of customer that you want to attract, if you want to be the for sale by owner expert in a certain zip code, if you want to be the relocation expert, if you want to work with clients and customers $400,000 and up, if you want to work with first-time home buyers only, then you need to know who you are, and you need to be able to communicate that to your audience. So a couple of things here. You need to define who you are very clearly, because clarity equals power. So you need to be able to define who you are as a realtor, what sets you apart from the other agents out there. And again, in the Jacksonville market, that would be 10,000 people that you're competing against. Theoretically, remember, it's only 20% of that. So maybe it's only 2,000 of those. The other 8,000 have jobs. So you need to know who you are and be able to communicate that clearly. And you need to know who your audience is. And then you need to be able to target all of your marketing and your prospecting to that audience, right? So like attracts like. So you need to also be authentic as you think about this as well. The goal is not to do business with everybody, only people with similar values. And I don't mean anything about fair housing and discrimination. I mean, define who your customer is and figure out a way to define yourself to attract those people to you. Does that make sense? Moving right along. Number 7, social media. Well, folks, we know this is an entirely whole day of training. I could literally provide all types of social media tips for you, and we'll probably do that in an upcoming webinar. It's the low-hanging fruit. So social media can be random. However, if you know your audience and you know who you are, you need to figure out how to convey that on social media. So what story are you telling? And let me also dig a little deeper than that. Be careful on social media. Just because supposedly the algorithm says only 25 people are seeing us all the time, I see my social media Facebook algorithms change. So on my phone versus my laptop, I have a different audience. So that's bunk to me. And I've also had people tell me that they see my posts all the time, they just don't comment on them. So you're reaching a broader group of people than you realize on social media. So find one platform that you want to focus on in particular, whether that be Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn. Those are my recommendations for the top 3. As we know, LinkedIn is more of a professional social media platform. They have designed it more like a Facebook now. Instagram is more of a younger demographic, and Facebook is now become a much older demographic. So that might be your moving down folks, that might be your higher end customers you're going to find on Facebook. So it depends on who your audience is. Then you got to tell your story. So don't be out there partying every weekend. It's Friday Eve, right? Tomorrow's Friday the 13th, full moon Friday. I'm sure there'll be all types of parties out there. So if you're out there with a shot in one hand and a shot in the other hand, and you're chugging them back at the bar, what kind of message are you portraying to your audience that you're trying to do business with? So what story are you telling on social media? So again, that's about as far as we're going to go on this, but there's 3 things I want you to take away from social media is know your story, or actually a little more, let's say 5. Know your story, know your audience, be consistent with your posts, use video, and use call to action buttons. And if you want to learn more about social media, please reach out to me later and I'll let you know in the next classes. Moving on to number 8. Be learning-based, but action-focused. So what does this mean? So I put a post on Facebook yesterday. I attended core law. My instructor license is coming up for renewal in about 2 weeks, so that's a requirement. However, we talked a lot about the laws that have changed locally and also in the state of Florida, as well as some contract changes that are going on. So it was very informative. So my Facebook post, as I checked into the class, I said, I always cringe when agents say, well, I don't need any more training. I've already taken the listings class. I've already taken the buyer consultation class. I've already been to the contracts class, and I know how to use the back-end system. So I just need to find the people. That scares me to death, people, when I hear that. So you need to constantly go to training. There are multiple platforms for training. Your brokerage, I'm sure, has some. YouTube is a great place for real estate training. National Association of Realtors, guys, has training modules on every topic you could ever imagine. Just put in the search bar once you log in, and there's quizzes, there are handbooks, there are videos on every topic related to real estate. That's part of what your dues pay for. Go utilize it. Same thing with your state associations. Here in Florida, we have Take 5 videos. They send them out to us, gosh, I think every day or maybe every week. And then same thing on their website. There's tons of useful training information there. I get a lot of my training from social media. I sign up for those free webinars from others. I want to learn. Now, the balance is, number 2, you don't want to be a professional student, or what I call the perpetual student, right? Some folks, I think they run the real estate business by paralysis analysis. They go to class and they go to class and they go to class because they don't want to go take action until they've mastered the content. You're never going to master the content, I'm telling you, because things change all the time. So go, and maybe you need to take that contracts class 3 times before you write your first contract. That doesn't mean you're a slow learner. That means that maybe one day you retired, maybe one day you got there late and you're not focused because traffic was a freaking nightmare. It's okay to take the same classes over and over. Depending on what's going on with us physiologically, emotionally, and what's going on in our personal life, we will retain things differently each time. Also, take the same material from different people. You will learn different things from different people from the same content. College education you don't even need in the real estate business. So that if you want to use that as a strength that you are college educated, by all means. But that's not the purpose. The purpose is to go and take all these trainings and courses relevant to your real estate career. And As far as mastering, another thing I'll add to that is that's where script practicing comes in. Do it over and over and over with the script partner, not sitting in a classroom. At some point, you've got to take action to go get the people. Moving right on to number 9. Tracking your business early and often. What does this mean? We've already talked about having a CRM system, so hopefully you have that database and you have your people, and I mentioned earlier some conversion ratios. So I already said if you will contact 10 people a day, 5 days a week, starting on Monday through the end of the year, that should give you 700 contacts, and the average ratio is for every 50 contacts we make, we should get a lead. Your conversion ratio may be different. Maybe you're 33 people. For every 33 people, you get a lead. But the bigger question is, do you even know? How do you know how many people you personally need to contact to get a lead? And then a lead doesn't necessarily turn into a piece of business, right? So you need to know how many people to get a lead, and then how many listing appointments does it take to get the listing, how many buyer contracts to get to the closing table, because buyer contracts fall apart too. So how are you keeping track of all this business? So that's probably where a coach comes in as well. And I also have a system called Core. I'm not sure if I can get in there. So I can teach you about that if you want to reach out to me personally and give you a quick overview of what my Core system, that will keep track of your open houses, your listing presentations, your contracts, your buyer consultations, and all that jazz. So number 10, moving right along, treat your business like a business. It's that simple, folks. So what does that mean? Are you treating this as a hobby? Are you getting up and you're running your errands all day and maybe you're making a couple phone calls in the car? Oh, I haven't talked to Sally Stu in a while. Let me ask her about real estate. I don't think she knows I'm in real estate. Or are you doing it purposely, like we talked about in the very beginning? Do you have your call list that you created the night before, and you're sitting down and you're doing that first thing in the morning, you're reaching out to all your contacts till you've had 10 conversations daily? Follow a routine. Are your days random? It's okay that they're different every day. That's part of the beauty, I think, of being an entrepreneur, is we don't have the monotony of the 9-to-5 cubicle job, right? But however, you need a schedule and you need a routine. You need to know that you've got to make those 10 contacts every day. You've got to feed your database every day. And then once you get business, you have to set aside a separate time slot for follow-up. So are you showing up as somebody who earns $100,000 a year? How are you dressing every day? Are you dressing in flip-flops and shorts and a t-shirt as if you're just hoping to run into somebody casually? Or are you dressing in work clothes even if you work from home? So here's a better question. Would you hire you to sell a $250,000 home, or better yet, a $600,000 home? What image are you giving across, again, on social media and in real life? Who are you showing up as? So let me go a little deeper than that. All of these things, we're now on number 10, we're about halfway through. What are you lying to yourself about? What are you telling yourself and everybody out there that you're doing for your business that deep down you're really not doing? Think about it. So the purpose of being CEO of your own real estate business is to fund your perfect life. So I'm personally not a fan of the word perfect, because there is no perfection in this life, right? We're always trying to evolve into the best version of ourselves, but that's a never-ending process to me. So I like to use the word ideal. So not just paying the bills and getting along, but you probably quit your corporate salary job to do this. So what does your ideal life look like? How much money does it take to get there? And then what are you doing every day to make that happen? Number 11. Associate with like-minded people. We've already touched on this a little bit, so we'll dig down just a little deeper for a couple of minutes. Again, hang out with people who are they're already at the level of business that you want to be at. Ask some veteran agents that you admire and you respect if you can shadow them. Maybe shadow them at their open house if they'll let you. Offer to take them to lunch and tell them, you admire their work, you respect them, you want to emulate them. So what are some things that if they were a newer agent that they wish somebody had told them? They will probably love to spend time with you. People love to share their knowledge. So seek out people who are already where you want to be. Obviously, seek out and hang out with people who build you up, not tear you down. And guys, I'm telling you, that's not just in business. So again, who you associate with in your brokerage and your real estate professional circle matters, but also in your personal life. There have been plenty of divorces, plenty of relationship breakups, because maybe the person you're with is that salaried person and that's all they're going to be, and that's okay. Everybody has their place in life and their purpose, right? So we need those people. We need those salary people who go to their job and they do what they need to do every day, because we need them to do that for us to continue the circle of life, right? However, you're on a different path as an entrepreneur. So maybe that person is mentally holding you back and not encouraging you because secretly they wish that they had the courage to be who you are going to be. So think about that in your personal life as well. Moving right along. Number 12. Master listing presentations. Oh, we could stop right here. So everybody has a preference, either working with buyers or working with sellers. That's entirely up to you, and you may not even know yet. You may have to work for a few months if you're new in the business to figure that out. What I will say is, for newer agents, and actually for all of us, frankly, buyers are more plentiful. So most of us are going to have a bigger share of buyers than sellers. However, listings, if you can be a masterful listing person and promote yourself out there as a listing specialist, that's going to be the key to giving you a more balanced life, between work and life balance, because you've got listings, leads, and leverage. So remember, we told you how to get the leads. So obviously for listings, we've mentioned for sale by owners, we've mentioned expireds, and obviously making those 10 daily contacts, right? So here's the deal with listings and sellers. As a rule of thumb, what they say is you can typically manage 12 listings at any given time versus only 8 buyers max, because buyers simply take up more time. We've got to drive them around. We've got to set up the appointments. We've got to do all the paperwork. Listings, you maintain often by text or email, weekly communication with your seller to give them weekly updates, feedback on the showings, and the updates on the marketing that you've done. So listings actually takes a little more money, because that is where I do want you to spend money for some marketing. A little bit, we can talk about that. However, if you can become a listing pro, you will have more business and spend less time doing your business. So just something I want you to think about. And also, of course, one thing to add to that, obviously listings is what creates your buyers. People call from the internet. That's the first place buyers look, right? So if you can focus on getting listings, you will have a much easier life versus just focusing on buyers. However, like I said, everybody's business is different, and some folks just love working with buyers. They love going into new homes on a daily basis during showings. They love that first-time home buyer. So just think about it. Your business model is the way you want it to be. Moving right along. Number 13, how to overcome objections. This is the part nobody likes to do, right? So it carries a negative connotation, right? Scripting and objection handling. I have a 38-page script book, but we'll talk about that towards the very end. So scripting sounds canned. Those telemarketers, I roll my eyes and I literally call them out on it. It sounds like you're reading from a script. One of your colleagues just called me yesterday and said the exact same thing. So I know you guys are reading from a script. Yes, I get a little catty with them. We don't want to be that telemarketer. Remember, we're not that salesperson. We talked about that earlier on. We want to come from contribution. However, how are you going to know how to overcome that objection, or what to say succinctly so you're not stumbling through the listing presentation if you haven't practiced? Scripting is all about, look at the top right, memorizing, internalizing, and then later you can customize. So find a script. I have a 38-page script book for you that handles all types of the typical objections from buyers, from sellers, from for sale by owners. Ask questions. So work with a partner. Again, your accountability partner could be a colleague. It could be your rainmaker if you're on a team. It could be a coach. But you're going to really need to invest in yourself, get the objection handling down through scripting, and then once you understand how to respond to the question succinctly, totally okay with you to customize it so it sounds authentic, like it's coming from your voice. So one thing you can do for homework over on the bottom left, is why don't you think about the top 10 objections that you've heard of just throughout life regarding real estate, of course, or that you've personally heard over the past 9 months this year, and come up with ways to overcome them in a succinct, authentic fashion. Moving right along, number 14, know your local market better than anybody. So where do you find this information? So your local MLS, you can go through and find the average days on market. You can go through and do it, for a region, for a neighborhood, but be the local economist. Know what's going on, like I said, with the interest rates. Know what's going on with the national economic world. Also, what's going on in the local world. What new businesses are coming into town? For instance, Jacksonville is a huge financial hub. We have Wayfair coming in. We have tons of rentals coming in. How does that affect the sales market? You need to know, be in the know what's going on in your market, not just real estate numbers. The other thing you can do is study your MLS and also look to see if your association provides numbers. Our association here in Jacksonville, called the Northeast Florida Association of Realtors, creates a 50 to 55 page monthly report, chock full of data. The first 20-some pages are generic data, average days on market in the area, average list price, average price sold versus original list price, percentage of homes that have sold over list price. You get it, all those things that are just good numbers. Then it chunks it down by category, new homes, condos, single family homes, chunks it down by price range, and then it breaks it down by our different regions. So it ends up being a, like I said, 50 to 55 page report. What if you studied a report like that every month and created a quick little video on social media live where you discuss those numbers succinctly and authentically, and then you offer to email that 55 page report to anybody at the end of your video who wanted to read the full report? There's a social media post for you right there, guys. So know your numbers, the absorption rate, know the hottest price point in your area. So you've got to know the market. Don't just say, hey, yeah, everything's great. Number 15, set goals and create a plan. So this is another place folks fail. Again, a lot of agents are running their business randomly, not as a CEO. They don't have a written plan for the day. It is Thursday. What are you doing the rest of the day when you get off the webinar? What are you doing tomorrow? Are you working Saturday? So far it's supposed to rain Saturday and Sunday. Do you have plans with your family? Totally okay with that. If it's a work day for you, what are you going to do to be purposeful, to use your rainy day wisely? So write the goal down. If it's not written down, it doesn't count. And I want you to take that a step further and share that goal with somebody, your accountability partner. I keep bringing that up. Stop being realistic and reasonable. Shoot for the stars, as they say. What you want to do with your goal is to make it not out of reach. However, I want you to make it higher than what you think you can really attain, because then you will push yourself out of your comfort zone and you will achieve more than you really believed you could do. And then the next year, maybe you push it just a little bit higher and you bring yourself a little bit higher year after year after year, right? So keep creating those higher goals. Now, instead of making them lofty, oh my gosh, there's no way I'm going to sell 40 homes this year. That's that limiting belief in your own mind. That's what I call the speed bump in your mind. So what I want you to do is to chunk it down. So once you create that big goal, break it down into little pieces. I create a monthly plan the last week of the month for the following month. My October is almost already planned out, and I've already got actually part of November planned out as well. It's the end of the year. It's time for us to get in gear and figure out what's going to go on for the new year, right? So you've got to plan ahead. I want you to commit to the process. Again, we're not running this randomly. I want you to do this on a daily basis. Speaking of that, I am presenting a live business planning workshop October 10th. I'll tell you more about that at the end. Be a time blocking ninja. People hate this phrase time blocking. I don't care what you want to call it, but I want you, like I said, to plan, purposely create that goals, and don't just say, I'm going to sell 3 homes a month. Great. Well, how are you going to get there? What are the activities you're going to do on a daily basis to make that happen? Chunk out the time. We've already talked about you need 3 hours a day for the lead gen. Well, that's 3 hours. You've got at least another 5 hours in your workday for a real 8-hour workday, right? What are you going to do with the rest of those 5 hours to create business? Maybe if you didn't get those 10 contacts in, maybe you're going to do 5 hours of lead gen that day, whatever it is. Maybe you've got an hour of follow-up. Maybe you've got an hour of social media posts. So what we will do on October 10th in Jacksonville, Florida, and I've got a slide at the end, is we're going to start working on your calendar for 2020. And actually, we can probably even do it for the end of the last quarter of 2019 as well. But we're going to look at the big picture. Where do you want to be next year? First things we're going to put in is, if you're going to Europe next year on a family vacation, that goes on your calendar first. Family first. Family first. Then I'm going to add in whatever your spiritual needs are. If you attend a house of worship, if you go to yoga every Tuesday, whatever it is to fulfill your spiritual needs, that's an immovable, non-negotiable item. So that also goes in first too. Then the next thing I want you to put in there is your lead generation, and then your trainings. Then your leftover time is your time for open houses and appointments. But like I said, I've got a workshop, a 3-hour workshop on October 10th coming up in Jacksonville, and we're going to work on some of that. But be purposeful. Number 17, we're almost at the end. Live in abundance, not scarcity. What does that mean? Well, first of all, they're both believing in something that you can't see. So you weren't given a vision to succeed in real estate if you weren't equipped to do so. If you're not doing it, it's right here. This is where you're not doing it. You can do it. If you have gone and gotten your real estate license, you can do this. So you need to follow the systems. You need to have a database. You need to have a plan. You need to have an accountability partner. And all this, I've already tried to scare everybody telling you that we truly have 10,000 realtors in Jacksonville. So what? I also let you know that only about 2,000 of them are actually doing any business. And then let me chunk that down even more, since we talk about chunking it down. First-year agents, nationally, the average number of sales they do is 6. So, and if we've got however many closings we've had so far this year, you'll see there's plenty of business to be had out there. So I don't want to hear that there's too many realtors. I don't want to hear I don't know anybody. So you've got to get out of that fearful scarcity mindset and go in and reset your mind into the abundance mindset. Mindset matters. Number 18, I'm just rounding things out here. Create a vision. We've talked about your MVVVP. So that would be your second piece of homework I would love for you to do, is go and meet with somebody to work on your MVVVP, whether it's your spouse, your domestic partner at home, your accountability partner, but you need to figure out your vision, your beliefs, your mission, your values, and your perspectives. So who are you, so that you can start telling your story to attract the right people? You need to know where you're headed and be able to communicate that to have the business. And last but not least, number 19, my friends, know your big why. What in the world is that? So what makes you get out of bed in the mornings? Why did you quit the comfort zone of your salary job to get into the wacky world of real estate? So in adversity, all those no's, you made those 10 calls, and every single one of them that responded back said, I don't know anybody right now. Poof. So no, 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 no. So does that mean you quit for the rest of the day? It does not. So what keeps you going, maybe making that 11th call or that 12th call, or makes you just sweep the day away and start fresh tomorrow? So what keeps you going? Why are you in real estate? So is this the reason you're in this? Is it something so big and powerful that not making it happen will reduce you to tears? Because if your why isn't big enough, the how doesn't matter. So one thing I do as a real estate coach is I have folks write their success letter to themselves and their apology letter to themselves. And so this almost always evokes tears. The other thing you can do with that is write it to your family. So the example that a lot of folks have used to help you get started on this, let's say that you promised your child, hey, for Christmas vacation, we're going on a Disney cruise for 4 days. If mommy sells 30 homes by December 1st, and then you get to November 28th, and mommy has only sold 24 homes. So your 6-year-old is like, hey, mom, we're going on that cruise, right? I've told all my friends at school. Yeah, sorry, honey, I did not. I'm short 6 houses, so we just don't have the income to go. So how is that going to feel if you don't meet your goals? Who else is your failure affecting? So these are the things you need to think about before you start creating your mission and your vision. Why are you doing this? Who else are you going to let down if you don't make it happen? So I hope this has given you some food for thought, the 19 things. So if you want to take it a step further, real quick, the 25 Real Estate Success Secrets Revealed is a 4-part live webinar workshop, so it will be interactive, that I'm offering. Dates are down at the bottom, October 16th, 17th, 23rd, and 24th from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. The link is right up here, the HTTP right here. That's the registration link. It is $199 for all 4 sessions. However, hopefully you're in the Jacksonville area, and that includes that business planning workshop that I've referenced a couple of times with your business planning workbook. I'll give you a success activities calendar. It includes lunch. We'll also have another guest speaker there talking about family and estate planning. And we have a builder that will give you a tour of the community. It's the amazing Tamaya. And you can also tour their model homes. You can take video to post on social media to hopefully get some buyer leads. So quickly, if you want to do the entire package, it's $199 and includes all of these things over here on the left. I do have some other options as well. If you don't want to do that 4-hour, if you can't commit to all those dates down there, you want to do just that 1-day business planning workshop for next year, the success planning, let me know. I'll give you the link for that. If you want to do just the webinar without the workshop and without all the extra freebies, let me know. My email is right up here. I will give you the links for whatever option that you want. So just want to throw this out there. I want to help you grow. This is my passion and my purpose, guys. So moving right along, I just want to thank you all for attending today. Again, I'm Christine Williams, CEO, Certified Real Estate Coach with Boundless Coaching, and I am powered by a company called the Locker Room Business Development Group. So I hope you've taken some ahas away today. With everything, every learning opportunity, webinar, and trainings that we attend, the goal is to implement 3 things. So I wish you all luck. I hope to hear from many of you soon. Have a great day.